Hey, everybody. Welcome to Blank as a Fart, a Twin Peaks podcast uh, hosted by Coach Co-op Shows. My name's Gabe, and I will be guiding my buddy Ian through his first trip into David Lynch's weird little corner of the Pacific Northwest.
What up, everybody?
Ian,
What up?
how's it going?
It's going all right. A little under the weather today, but ready for the podcast. Ready to do
All
this.
right. How you feeling at the starting line here? Are you looking forward to it?
We'll get into that, won't we?
I guess
Yes,
we
no,
will.
no, no. I'm excited to go on this journey with you for sure.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a while. I know you wish I would do more of the podcasting, and now that I'm on the Discord server, I'd hopefully weigh in on some more of the couch co-op shows.
But isn't it easy?
It is easy. It's super easy. I'm like, look at this. I got a camera and everything. I'm bummed out about missing that top five. I really wanted to get a top five for that the 10-year anniversary show.
Oh, no
But
worries.
one of these days, I'll be in on this. So yeah, Twin Peaks, David Lynch. Let's get right into our summary here. And Ian, feel free to just weigh in with whatever observations you have when I get to the interesting parts.
So this is the pilot, right?
This is the pilot, yeah. It aired as like a 2-hour Sunday movie on ABC. We'll get a little more into that later on. So yeah, this is the pilot episode. We open on the Packard Mansion. We get our first looks at Josie, Pete, and Catherine, though we don't really get to know them very much in those first scenes. Pete goes out for an early morning fish and discovers a body near the rocky shore. Super spooked, he immediately contacts the sheriff's office, where Lucy puts him through to Sheriff Harry S. Truman. He quickly makes his way to the scene, accompanied by Crybaby Andy and Doc Haywood, who immediately recognizes the body as his teenage daughter's best friend, Laura Palmer.
Bum bum bum.
Bum, bum, bum. So back at the Palmer household, Laura's mother, Sarah, is starting to panic as she realizes her daughter is not home for breakfast. She contacts the Briggs household to try and reach Laura's boyfriend, Bobby, whose whereabouts are also unknown. And we cut to the Great Northern Hotel, where the owner and local real estate magnate, Ben Horn, is making a pitch to Norwegian investors. Laura's father, Leland, who is Ben's attorney, is summoned to the office by an urgent phone call from his wife. Sheriff Truman also meets Leland in the office, and the two parents learn together that Laura is dead. I think that's where we hit our first commercial break, if I remember right.
I wouldn't know because I'm watching it on streaming and no commercial
Ah,
breaks.
oh, you still get the blackout. I mean, they still work
No,
with
they didn't
that.
black it out on that.
They
Well, they might
didn't.
have not in like some weird commercial way that I noticed. It was very just
Okay.
cut to the LA. So
Yeah, because I'm watching it on the DVD. I've got the box set.
gotcha.
And something I noted out uh, is that commercial break, it does the slow pan down to the phone, the
Right.
phone handle where you can hear Laura's mom screaming on the other end. And then it does kind of a slow fade to black out of that. So
No,
that
I
was
think
always a
they
moment.
must have edited that, or it's because I don't get a slow fade. It just cuts right back.
Hmm.
I didn't watch it yesterday. I watched it the day before, but it is pretty
Okay.
fresh in my mind.
Interesting. Yeah.
I could
We'll
be
have to
I
double
could be
check that.
wrong.
What
I could be
service are you watching it on?
wrong. It's on Paramount through Amazon Prime. Paramount
Okay.
Plus through
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I mean, that would be, that's the source. Anyway, where were we? I think we're moving on to the Double R Diner here. Oh, yeah. Bad boy Bobby. Yeah, we get a first time meeting of him while he's finishing a cup of coffee and flirting with the diner's owner, Norma. Oh, man, is Norma gorgeous or what? Let's see. Then he grabs the waitress Shelley and offers her a ride home from her late night shift. Here's where we get our introduction to our very first illicit romance in Twin Peaks, Bobby's fucking Shelley. They're almost caught red-handed by her husband Leo, who is home early from his trucking route. We get a quick look of Leland identifying Laura's body before we move on to homeroom Belle at high school. Bobby's best friend Mike warns him as he enters that something's up before he's pulled into the office to speak with the local authorities. The police presence is getting noticed pretty quickly by the students. Laura's best friends, Donna Haywood and James Hurley, quickly put two and two together when they see she's not at her desk. Bobby's interrogation quickly gets hostile. He professes his love for Laura, getting childishly violent before he's quickly subdued by Andy and the sheriff. The principal makes the announcement to the school and dismisses his class for the day. Quick note here. I forgot to write the actor's name down, but the principal was Roger Podacter in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. That's one of those weird little Hollywood links I always love to explore. Back at the Palmer household, Doc Haywood dopes the shit out of Sarah, long enough for the sheriff to ask her a few questions about Laura's whereabouts the night before. Leland's upstairs in Laura's room with Deputy Hawk, who takes a video camera and a diary as evidence. And he gets the sheriff's attention and informs him that another young woman is missing this morning, the daughter of a Packard sawmill employee named Yannick Pulaski. Our attention moves to the mill, where Josie, as the mill's owner, orders Pete to shut down for the day so the workers can go home and be with their families. This is quite against the wishes of Ice Queen Catherine, who proves her reputation as the town bitch by firing a random worker on the way out. Piper Laurie. She's a legend. It doesn't take us long to find Ronette. We see her looking very dazed and worse for the wear, walking the railroad tracks across the bridge, where she's found by a worker who presumably takes her to safety. James rides his Harley to Uncle Ed's gas station, with whom he leaves a note for Donna, and also confirms illicit romance number 2. Laura was fucking James. And from across the street at the home, Ed's wife, Nadine, hollers about grapes. You're going to see a lot of that.
Great.
Yeah. David Lynch and these quirky little characters, right? At this point, we're finally introduced to our shining white knight of the story, Special Agent Dale Cooper. Making his way into town, he's careful to record every detail on his mini cassette recorder for his secretary, Diane. You're also going to see a lot of that.
Do we ever see Diane?
Not until the return.
Okay. That's right. I kind of thought that was a thing, that you'd never see her or she was fake. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this I want to spoil for you. We'll talk more about that later on. Cooper introduces himself to Truman at the hospital. He makes it real clear the Bureau's in charge. Truman also makes it clear he has no problem with that. Cooper is also quick to voice his eagerness to learn more about the natural wonders of the area. All right, Cooper and the sheriff make their way to Ronette's bed, where the doctor confirms that Ronette was raped several times and that she's comatose, unresponsive. Cooper requests to examine her fingers, doesn't seem to find what he's looking for. On their way to the morgue, Cooper and the sheriff encounter Dr. Jacoby, local psychiatrist quack, who confirms Laura was a patient of his, but her parents were not aware of this fact. His odd request to join them at the morgue is denied by Cooper, whose distaste for Jacoby is apparent, but he acknowledges that he could still be helpful later on. Cooper and the sheriff examine Laura's body. Cooper finds a letter R cut from newsprint under her fingernail. Seems to be expecting this. Cooper instructs Diane to send Albert and his team for forensics, not Sam. Back at Big Ed's gas station, Donna shows up and grabs her note, which instructs her to meet James at the Roadhouse, the local bar, after 9:30. How the fuck are the high school kids getting into the bar all the time? I'm not sure how that works.
They just walk right in.
They do, and the bartenders seem to serve them. Dude, things go down. All right, Mike shows up and uses his status as Donna's boyfriend to order her to the sheriff's station to support Bobby during his trying time. Donna and Ed have a chuckle over their respective shitty romantic choices. Back at the sheriff's office, Cooper literally cracks open Laura's diary to find the last entry mentions being nervous about meeting Jay. In addition, he finds a key to a safety deposit box in a plastic envelope that also contains what he identifies as cocaine residue, much to the sheriff's disbelief.
No way.
Right? The homecoming queen? Andy, between sobs, the big softy, informs Lucy over the phone that they found what they believe to be the scene of the crime. Bad boy Bobby predictably gets further indignant during his interrogation by the sheriff and Cooper. He's shown a video of Laura and Donna happily frolicking at a picnic, which is filmed presumably by Jay. Cooper is totally calm and collected during the whole interview. He silently informs the sheriff that Bobby did not do it before taunting him with the statement, "You didn't really love her anyway." And then he lets him go. We return to the Great Northern, where we're finally given our proper introduction to Audrey Horne, who's appeared in some couple snippets earlier throughout. She demonstrates her reputation as a troublemaker when she informs the Norwegian investors of the morning's events, which sends them quickly scurrying back to Europe, ruining her father's deal. What a little scamp. She's pretty one-dimensional in this episode. You get a lot better look at her later on. On his way out of the sheriff's station, Bobby, for the record, everybody's pretty one-dimensional.
I was going to say it, but I'm just going to be quiet.
I'm not going to lie. A lot of obvious stereotypes here and there. Bobby runs into Mike on his way out and informs him they're going to have to beat up a biker before he blows off his parents on the way out the door. Cooper interrogates Donna, who refuses to identify James as the person who filmed the video, claiming instead it was a random hiker. Cooper knows she's lying to him, but lets her go anyway, saying they'll talk more later. After Donna leaves, the sheriff and Lucy enter. Lucy was eavesdropping on Mike and Bobby and is ready to share the details, but Cooper already knows they're looking for a biker, as he saw the motorcycle reflected in Laura's eye during the wacky zoom in. Basic Sherlock shit. He knows what he's doing. All right, Cooper and the sheriff make their way to the crime scene, where they find a lot of blood, a lot of rope, and a big mound of dirt with a necklace that has half a gold heart, and a note written in blood, "Fire walk with me." Why do I keep looking away and getting lost? Foolish of me. Dude.
I was like, oh hey, that's where they got the title from for the film. Yeah. Oh hey, I am paying attention.
That's the random note. See, you're learning stuff. Okay, here we go. At the bank, Cooper and the sheriff crack open Laura's safety deposit box, where they find 10 grand in cash and a copy of Flesh World, which has a personal ad featuring Rana Pulaski. We also got a big picture of Leo's cute truck, which serves as a cute segue into the Johnson home. Leo demonstrates himself as a worthless, abusive, and violent piece of shit, but he's a pretty perceptive one. Look out, Shelley. Quick cut to a phone call between Big Ed and Norma, where we learn about illicit romance number 3. Ed and Norma are fucking. Norma is also married, but her husband Hank is in jail. However, parole is looming on the horizon. We move to a town meeting where the sheriff is filling Cooper in on some of the local characters and gossip. We get our first look at the log lady and Mayor Milford, the doddering old fool. The sheriff explains that Josie was the wife of the late Andrew Packard, who owned the sawmill. Catherine was Andrew's sister and was pissed that Josie got the mill instead of her. Cooper introduces himself to the town and informs them of the murder of Teresa Banks. Her body was found 1 year ago in Southwest Washington. Similarities lead Cooper to believe that Laura and Ronette were victims of the same perpetrator. Cooper encourages a curfew and vigilance, and maybe rat out on your neighbor. That speech he gave was kind of weird. It could be one of you. All right, then we head off to the Haywood home for the first time. We've got the doc and his wife discussing the day's events. He mentions the half-heart necklace discovered at the scene of the crime. Of course, Donna is eavesdropping at the top of the stairs. She gets her little sister to cover for her while she sneaks out to meet James at the roadhouse.
But does she?
Well, she sneaks out.
No, I know, but is her sister cover for her?
Sister cover for her.
Not really.
Not really. But does it matter in the end?
No.
Not really. Mike the asshole ruins the whole charade by showing up drunk with Bobby, trying to drag Donna out to whatever they're getting into. Doc finds Donna missing, hence the sister gets the mild chewing out. And for some reason, Doc decides to enlist the aid of Mike the drunken asshole to help her find her. Cooper and the sheriff are already there staking out the roadhouse because that's where all the bikers hang out. We see our first musical performance at the roadhouse. That's Julie Cruz, who's performing the show's theme song, Falling. Roadhouse is the place to be. Ed and Norma are out on their secret date. Mike and Bobby, the jerks, show up looking to start shit. The bikers seem pretty amused by them. And then finally, Donna makes her way in the door. She's loudly spotted by Mike before she can spot James. He gets grabby. Big Ed intervenes and sets off a brawl. One of James's biker friends sneaks Donna out in the chaos to take her to meet him. Cooper and the sheriff follow but lose them on a logging road. As we found out earlier, James has the other half of the Golden Heart. He and Donna decide to bury it before they start making out. Cementing illicit romance number 5. Soap opera of soap operas. They head their way back to town. They're swiftly pulled over by Cooper and the sheriff. Donna is returned to her parents, and James is sent to lockup, where Mike and Bobby get a good look at the guy who stole both of their girls.
That's a creepy scene. It's like a weirdly homoerotic thing going on there. Anyway.
Yeah, the woof woof. I don't know what that's all about.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's not the end of that by any means. All right. They bark a while before we move on to the sheriff arranging some lodging for Cooper at the Great Northern in front of that amazing donut spread. Oh, that looked awesome.
No, it didn't. It looked like a fucking it looked like fucking host. Someone just went to the mini mart and got some Hostess donuts and like opened up boxes of Hostess donuts. Just like,
well, I mean, maybe that's what the prop department got, but
anyway, go ahead. Continue on.
Anyway, maybe I've just got donuts on the brain.
There you go.
There we go. The sheriff arranges for lodging for Cooper at the Great Northern before he makes his way to the Packard mansion, and we get to see illicit romance number what the fuck ever. Sheriff is fucking Josie. And I don't know if that's really illicit. I mean, they're both single, but it really seems like they're trying to keep it secret.
Yes.
It's not a secret, however. You know, don't make out right in front of the front fucking window. Right. Catherine's right there watching. She's on the horn with Ben Horn, letting him know what's up. They're going to meet up to talk about it. Or are they going to fuck too? Maybe we'll find out in the next episode. And we close out the pilot with Sarah waking up from a nap on the couch with a lit cigarette. She shrieks as she gets a vision of the gloved hand that removes the buried half of the heart from where Donna and James had hidden it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Roll credits.
Yes. Did you watch this when it released initially?
I watched it on video about a week afterward.
Okay.
So I did watch parts of it as it aired. Mm-hmm. This was during a time when I was like 12, I think, right. Maybe 13.
Right.
And this was when my parents did split custody.
Oh, okay.
So I only watched this show with my dad and my stepmom. And sometimes they would record the episodes that my brother and I didn't get to see, and sometimes they would forget. So my very first viewing of the original series was patchy. There were a lot of gaps that I didn't get to see. I've filled them in all the way since. I think this is going to be my 5th run through.
Oh, wow.
Of the original series.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I always find it's one of those ones where I don't mind going through because I always find new stuff or stuff that I've forgotten that amuses me, that I find out new things about. Like, I don't know if you remember the scene of the kid doing the weird little dance down the hall in the high school. Totally ad-libbed.
No way.
Not in the script. What? Yeah, totally ad-libbed, but made the cut.
Here's something, so I was probably around the same age. Mm-hmm. Definitely, middle school or whatever. Wasn't that 6th, 7th grade? 8th grade? 7th grade? I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was 1990 was when it premiered. April of 90.
Yeah, so I didn't watch a lot of television back then. I was really just more into movies, watched a lot of movies, just watched movies on repeat. Mm-hmm. But my stepbrother, he was getting ready. He's studying. He wanted to be a filmmaker, and so he was really hot to trot about this show coming because he was a big David Lynch fan. So I knew that the show existed, and he was really into it, but it was never something that I was interested in watching. So that's kind of my only real At
And
that
that's
point,
strictly because it was television?
for the most part, I just really wasn't into. I mean, occasionally I'd watch some Star Trek, Next Generation, but really I was just
Right.
more into watching Top Gun for the 100th time, or some Beverly Hills Cop or something. Indiana Jones. I just was way
Right.
more into that stuff than television.
Yeah.
But so the only David Lynch thing I had seen, and only because my stepbrother, he made Dune, so like I had seen Dune, so I'd seen Dune multiple times, but it wasn't like a film that I loved. So it's like, well,
Right.
I'm not really that interested in seeing the show. Then, he's excited for it. Maybe someday I'll check it out, but it wasn't something. So that's kind of where I left it forever. It existed in
Oh,
this
okay.
kind of. I've never seen an episode. Uh,
How many plot points have you had spoiled for you?
uh, Honestly, I don't know if I have ever had any, because it's not
Okay.
something I've ever tuned in on, or I don't think I have any friends except for you that are into it. Um, Obviously my stepbrother
Interesting.
I only visited every other weekend, and he wasn't always around. I just knew that was something he was into, but we never really talked about it. I was a little kid, and he's like a teenager that didn't want to talk to me. So, and I wasn't interested. So there's a lot of that I don't really know anything about. So like watching this, I know nothing about it. The only thing I can pull from it is then after, seeing, uh, Wild at Heart, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive. There's just so much David Lynch in this movie or in this show,
Hmm.
but I
Yeah.
don't,
Oh,
I don't
yeah. The DNA is
like,
solid in
or
here.
just like as soon as they pulled out a video camera. Oh, I've seen this movie a million times. We're gonna get like a video camera clips of shit going on, and I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so there's
There's
all of
there's
that
definite
going
tropes.
on. There's all that going
Yeah.
on. His
And yeah, like
his interesting shot selection. Sometimes the shots are really good. Sometimes they're just crappy shots. That's very David Lynch. But I don't know how
oh
you
yeah.
want.
We'll see.
I don't know where you want to go or how you want to break this down. But uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm just kind of going with your initial reaction to it,
my
and yeah, that's
my
where we're
initial
going from here.
my initial reaction is, holy shit, this is bad. That's my initial reaction.
From a 2022, or what year are we in? From
24.
a 2024 standpoint, I mean, yeah, it's vintage. Looking
It's
at it from the lens of the past, yeah, I mean, there's so much more that has come since that is far superior. It's one of those.
there's either overacting or just straight up bad acting. There's no like good acting. There's just like this choice of like really overacting or thinking about the acting, or just hamming it up, like in my opinion. Like, and maybe I don't know if that's a TV choice. I don't know if there's some kind of like thing I don't know. As I was watching it, I was thinking, is there some joke I'm not being let in on? I guess kind of.
I mean, this is now the pilot was directed by Lynch.
Yes, I know that.
Like the majority of the episodes weren't, but the pilot was, so it definitely has more of his DNA and more of his direction involved. Um, Everybody does seem very cartoony in the pilot, and I think that's because of his signature touch. They get less so as the show goes on, not always. I mean, this is, it's weird. It's supposed to be weird, and it's supposed to be overly theatrical in a lot of respect. When you kind of look at what it was, the dramas were of the day, like Dynasty and Dallas, and
Right.
I would think we were just getting our beginnings of Law and Order at that point. Compared to that, there was really nothing else like it. And especially when we start getting into the weirder, more metaphysical stuff, the supernatural ends of things, that's when the show really kind of finds its niche. You don't see a lot of that in the pilot. It gets far weirder, and not, yeah, just in general weirder.
Yeah, so I was like, that's what I guess some of the things I was kind of question, like I guess when I was watching it, I guess it went over my head. I don't know. For some reason, I didn't think Shelley. For some reason, I thought it was her dad was at home.
Julio.
Yeah, So when they turn around and
She is
leave,
like super young, and she's cheating like
no,
with
no,
the
no.
high
But like
school guy.
when Bobby and her are in the car and they just break, and it's like, oh no, he's home. I was under the impression that her
Oh,
dad was home.
right, because he refers to him as her old man.
Right. So like I'm just like
No, yeah, no,
so like
no. Leo's her husband.
yeah no. So like then
Okay.
that cuts and then they go back to that house and she's on the couch with this who I thought was her brother. So she's like, what is going on? And this kid, why? I wouldn't even believe they're married, and this kid can't act. They just like pulled this dude off the street and just like, here, just hold this beverage, and like just, oh my god, I was like, so what is going on here? There's so many funny things. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I was so confused about that. I thought there was going to be some old man, and then he was going to be a possible person of interest, but no. I thought that was interesting. And then I didn't understand what it was about the fucking drapes. Ed's wife.
That's just
it never explained.
No, that's just her crazy thing.
Just crazy. Just never explained.
Yeah, just her with her mental imbalances.
Something else that I find very weird. This is a bunch of weird things I just kept. When Donna leaves her house, leaves off and tells the sister says, she says, I want to borrow your bike, and then the sister says, can you put some air in it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then when her dad picks her up and they're kind of having a heart-to-heart, besides, didn't you promise your sister to put some air in the tire? And I'm like, I don't think the fucking sister would tell you that she was going to do that. Like, how is that information doled out to the father? He's only there to say that because we know it was said, but there's no way the father would have known that ever, in my opinion. And it's just such a weird choice.
Unless the implication was that he was at Donna's door and he heard her before she left.
Maybe, I guess.
Which is a possibility. I don't know. That's one I didn't put too much thought into, but I can see the lack of that.
They really sit there in the car and make that like a character moment. And it's just like,
yeah,
this is such a weird. I just thought it was a weird choice, and it just hung so.
Yeah, it was just a way to demonstrate, Doc Haywood is the best dad ever. Kind of like,
is he?
I'm looking out for your sister too. Keep your promises, young lady.
I thought it was
it was a little bit of schmaltz. I mean, a lot of David Lynch has a lot of that kind of 50s home life schmaltz in his work. As the moments of levity. And I think he uses those as like those isolated moments of purity that you can still see in, towns like Twin Peaks that have this horrible little underbelly. So, I mean, you get a lot of the crazy shit like Laura was into cocaine and hookers and stuff like that. But then you get, your wholesome moments with Donna and her sister.
It's basically,
you kind of have that balance.
It's the Pacific Northwest. It's all pretty, but the underlying belly, it's where grunge came from. It's where that that
the
music,
shadow of the trees.
And then I thought it was funny that at the end when the sheriff and what's her name, Peggy? What's her name? They're making out.
Josie.
Josie, but they're making out in front of where Palmer was found. Are we meant to believe that? Because they keep cutting to it.
To the house.
So they keep cutting to where she was found dead. And it's just like a funny, let's have them kiss right here.
Well, that's the porch of the Packard mansion, which is like the richest house in town. It has like a private shorefront property, which just happens to be where Laura washed up.
Gotcha. Or was she placed there?
No, she washed up there.
Oh. All right. If you say so.
She was placed in the water.
Okay.
I mean, that's not, I'm not really giving anything away by saying that. The scene of the crime is actually the scene of the crime. There are no illusions about that.
The score, I don't like. It's really campy and just grades on me, dude. That synthesizer.
You're not a Badalamenti fan, huh?
No, some of his stuff's fine, but this particular one, I mean, I think I read somewhere it was done in like 20 minutes or something, and I think that totally shows.
And you're talking about just like that opening theme?
But it's played constantly. Just constantly throughout the entire show. Just anytime.
There's a lot of music that comes back,
but it's just like, my God, grating. But I thought it was fun. I mean, it's funny. It's fun to watch. I was just like,
Yeah, there's good characters. Like Lucy and Andy are fun.
Honestly, though, if we weren't doing this, I would probably stop here.
Which is a shame because then you'd miss some of the best stuff.
Well, I'm not gonna miss
I'd
it.
encourage you.
We're gonna
Yeah,
go
no,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna go through it.
that's what I'm saying. So I'm not gonna miss it.
Yeah. Now, looking ahead, I'm gonna tell you that there's gonna be like a good 10 weeks that's a real fucking slog. So,
Some really good stuff. But
oh man,
hold
oh
on.
no, it's so yeah. I mean, there's gonna be stuff where like David Lynch had largely dropped out of the writers' room in season two because he was on the road promoting Wild at Heart, doing the festival circuit with it, stuff like that. So he kind of handed it over to Mark Frost and a bunch of soap opera writers, and it shows. He came back to wrap it up, but yeah, it suffers in the second season.
Okay.
And I mean, it's going to be a tough ride, but it'll be worth riding it out for when we get to season the return, which like technically that's season three, but it's never referred to as such in any of the press. It's just called the return, and that's the one that's like David Lynch without network TV restriction. Like they just let him make his 18-hour movie playground in this little world that he created.
Okay.
So that's when we get more into like cinematic experimentation.
Cool. All right.
But it's many episodes away, unfortunately.
So we have to suffer through all of the show to get to that.
We're going to suffer for this art. But
Gotcha.
there's lots of good stuff to be found in season one and the first half of season two, up until they reveal who the killer is. That's kind of when the show starts to tank. And little trivia aspect, that's kind of something they were forced into by the network. Lynch and Frost in interviews kind of implied that they really never wanted to reveal who the killer was.
Right.
Although they did know the whole time. They had it in mind who it was.
Is it a member of the cast?
Is it? I don't want to.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just curious if I could like figure it out, or did they not drop hints?
It's not like that kind of whodunit.
Okay. So it's just gonna be yoink it out of their ass and like.
I wouldn't say that either. I mean they drop clues along the way, but I wouldn't say there are any that you would miss in this pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you know what to look for going back, like, yeah, I wouldn't say that it drops any hints that you're not getting.
Gotcha.
You want to talk about the cast at all, like the actors and actresses?
Whoever you want to.
I mean, so here's the big thing for me is like Agent Cooper is quite possibly my favorite TV protagonist of all time.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I just because, and I think it's because of just like his core of honesty, and it's just because he's always doing things the right way. You didn't often see that in television or in film. He always keeps his cool, doesn't lose his shit, gets the job done.
I mean,
he does it in a kind way.
He is a little quirky. He's fun to watch.
He's quirky, and he brokers no bullshit.
I mean,
like the way he instantly bristles at Jacoby, I love that. Like he's friendly and charming with the sheriff, but as soon as they encounter Jacoby, he just shuts down. He's like, yeah, how you doing?
I mean, he is definitely the best actor on the show.
Absolutely,
by far.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of these actors have been in other things that I've seen him in, but he's definitely when he's on the on screen, you're watching him. You're not like fucking Laura's mom. Holy shit! I don't know what planet they found her on, but like when she loses her shit at the beginning, I was just like, whew. Anyway, it's just funny. It start at the beginning. Before he Kyle MacLachlan shows up. What's his name on the show?
Cooper.
Cooper, that's right.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching a porno with no porn. I just felt like, what is this? It was just like all these people just lusting over each other, but then nothing.
Yeah, the way it's paced and the way it's all quiet and minimal music cues and stuff like
really bad
that.
80s living rooms and just like it's just like, what is this? Anyway, but It was fun.
Fun story though. The pilot won an Emmy for costume design.
Sure it did. Wow.
I'm not exactly sure what the competition was that
It
year.
must have been pretty
I'd have
bad.
to look that up. But
Like that show
yeah,
and then like 4 other cop shows or something. But
yeah. Costume design and editing. The pilot won Emmys for.
I could see the editing. I mean, it moves along.
It does, and you
Actually,
get your looks at the characters, and you learn a little piece of them, and then you come back to them and learn a little more. It doesn't linger too much on any one scene, at least not yet. I mean,
who
it
edited
is
it?
David Lynch, so get
Lynch
ready
didn't
for
edit it
that.
though, did he?
No, I'd have to look that up.
I would imagine a
But it
Lynch
was
cut would
not
be
him.
like hours long.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the trivia notes is that there's a European edit
Oh boy.
or an alternate edit that's kind of designed as a closed-ended movie in case it didn't get picked up to series.
Oh, interesting.
I did watch that, but it reveals a lot, so we're not going to go over it today.
Bonus
It does take
content.
some elements, yeah. Maybe at the end of the season or at the end of the run of the original series. It does take a few scenes from season 2.
Hmm.
Not much else from that, but yeah, other stuff.
Interesting.
Um, so yeah,
Uh,
who else do we have in the cast? We've got Piper Laurie,
yeah.
who's probably most famous for being the mom in the original version of Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
She also ended up getting an Emmy nod for lead actress for season 1.
Interesting.
Jack Nance, who's Pete Martell, played the lead in Eraserhead. Almost unrecognizable. Doesn't really look like the same actor at all.
I've never
Just
seen
kind of looks
Eraserhead,
like.
so you got to
Okay.
revoke my Lynch card.
Ah, I haven't seen it in a long time, so there are a lot of Lynch movies I haven't seen in a long time. And I've been meaning to go back and revisit a few of them.
The only one I ever really
Just
rewatch, the
for
only one I really,
supplemental material.
the only one I really like and rewatch is Lost Highway. I think that's when I connected, and that's just the one I like.
And is that because of the music?
No, it's because what's her name in it is hot.
Oh, Patricia Arquette.
Patricia Arquette.
Mm.
Gary Busey is great. There's a lot of those elements in that movie that are in this show. You know?
Yeah.
You know, you're dealing with this. I don't know. Anyway, it's just very interesting. I've always Lost Highway. So I keep comparing this show to it, which I probably shouldn't do, but
I think it's a fair comparison. Like I said, he's got a lot of shared tropes in all of his work, and especially once we get to The Return, you're gonna see a lot more similarities with Lost Highway there. Far more. I can tell you right now, lots of them.
But I mean, even in Mulholland Drive or in Wild at Heart, I mean all that stuff. You have leather jacket guys and all that kind of being cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Mulholland Drive has the video camera shit too. What's the other one with Laura Dern?
That's Wild at Heart.
No, but the one after Mulholland Drive that she did with him was like all on video.
Oh, whoa, shit.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has. There's so many he deals in the same pool most of the time. It's just kind of funny to see this now. Seeing this, I guess, seeing oh, this is just kind of where he was, and he was just always trying to
how far back it actually goes.
But yeah, and he's always been trying to make this. Still trying to figure out how to make this. I don't know if it's just he has this fluid idea that he's just constantly trying to make in some form or the other. It's kind of fascinating.
That sounds like a really apt interpretation of it. I think it's just kind of like a lot of ideas that they don't necessarily follow a trajectory for him. They kind of spiral out into different directions, and he likes to be able to explore all of those directions without really explaining why he's taking that route.
I mean, are there other twins in Twin Peaks, or is it just Twin Peaks as the name?
It just serves as the name of the town.
Because then, obviously Lost Highway has twins. Mulholland Drive has twins. There's a lot of that kind of doubling up stuff. It's just interesting.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't believe there are twin characters in this particular show.
Or look-alike characters? No.
We might revisit that theme a
Oh,
little later.
I see.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're skipping a little ahead there, but you'll see some of that in the next episode, actually.
Okay, all
So
right.
not too far ahead.
Okay.
Quick other trivia note: the role of Josie Packard was originally written as Giovanna Packard,
Mm.
and it was intended for Isabella Rossellini, who was
Oh.
dating Lynch at the time the pilot was written.
Oh.
Also, a quick mention of the population that's written on the entry to the town sign.
Right.
Per the script, the population is supposed to be 5,120. You very much get that small town feel, especially with the characters. Like, the one high school, everybody knows each other. It was the network that made them add the extra digit to the end, thinking that a small town show of that nature would not be marketable.
Gotcha.
Filmed on location in Snoqualmie. You can go visit a lot of those sets still to this day, including the Double R Diner.
Mm.
I've seen the house that is the frontage of the Palmer home. I think that's in Redmond, actually. It's not in Snoqualmie, but it's in that King County area. And then, the pilot aired as a Sunday night movie on ABC. It earned a 21.7 Nielsen rating. That's over 30 million viewers. That put it in 5th place for that week, behind 2 airings of America's Funniest Home Videos, the new episode of Cheers, and the new episode of The Cosby Show. So that gives you an idea of the competition at the time.
I'm curious, let's see, what film had he just come off of?
Prior to this, I think Blue Velvet would have been his most recent theatrical piece.
That makes sense.
Wild at Heart wasn't too far off. This was April of 90. I think Wild at Heart was summer of 90. I'd have to double check on that. If you've got a wiki page open, maybe you can look that up real quick.
Yeah, Blue Velvet was 86. So.
Oh, that's a long break.
And my understanding is that he was in production on Wild at Heart in season 1, right?
Yeah, for part of it. Yeah, he was back and forth because he doesn't direct every episode in season 1. It's just
like the first two?
pilot and the first 2, I think.
And kind of same with the second season, right?
Yeah.
I did look at
actually
a
the second season he doesn't start directing until toward the end.
Oh, okay.
But I do believe he does direct every episode of The Return. I'm going to start trying to pay more attention to the writing and directing credits for each episode now that we're out of the pilot. The pilot we know is Lynch and Frost in the writer's seat, with Lynch in the director's chair. I do want to go back and double check that editor, though. I'll make sure and have that for the next episode.
Cool. Maybe keep if you want to keep writing the synopsises that long or the plots outline that long, that's fine. Maybe what we do is we kind of just break it down, like first, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, then the middle, and then we just kind of like do the first talk, then we go, then talk. That way we don't. That way it gives you time.
Break.
Yeah, and then we can kind of talk about stuff. That might be a cooler, easier way, and then we won't forget things that I wanted to talk about while you're just running through things. So,
gotcha. That makes more sense. All right, I'll write some breathing space into the monologue next week.
But no, we're learning. We're gonna learn on this.
Yeah, episode 1, man.
The pilot.
We got
episode.
us some growing pains.
All
right. Well, you got anything else you want to add?
Let's see. I did take notes. I'm not I did say most of them, but I did see that this show supposedly inspired Zelda Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I thought that was interesting. And then I read that the Bob Iger was actually really into this show, and he was really, and it was like, I guess ABC or who at that time was not super into it, but he was really into it. But I guess the only scene that they really wanted to like cut down was the scene where they took the R from underneath her fingernail. They thought it was too much for network television, but Lynch would not budge on that.
It looked a little graphic. Fun story though.
Nowadays, no one would
Kyle
care, but
oh yeah, no, that is very tame by today's standards. But for that scene, Kyle MacLachlan used the old trick of pushing the tweezers like back into his fingers instead of into, like, it wasn't a fake hand. It was actually the actress's hand. So yeah, the tweezers were being pushed back into his palm as opposed to down her fingernail. Just a little sleight of hand trick, but it made it look very realistic.
Cool. Yeah, it did look real realistic. I was like, well, that's pretty intense. I can see why they maybe wanted them to cut that.
Another note about that scene in the morgue, the blinking light was also a total accident.
Yeah.
And the morgue attendant originally didn't have any lines, so David Lynch wrote them in for him to explain that. And another neat little happy accident that makes its way into the final cut.
So then I was curious, because then there's a scene towards the end. Was it, or later on? Not toward, but there's another blinking light somewhere. I'm forgetting what scene it's in.
That might be like in the hospital when they're talking to Ronette, like when they're trying to get information from her.
I thought it was like somewhere totally different, but maybe it was.
Maybe at the Roadhouse later on.
I just remember there being another light of flashing, and I was like, I wonder if they did that on purpose this time, but I don't know.
Could be. Like electricity and blinking lights, that's a theme that Lynch comes back to a lot as well. And just like this exploration of how electricity is essentially, magic.
Right.
And how it may be tied to other things that we can't see or explain. And, maybe because of, and yeah, again, I'm jumping ahead here, but like how electricity can like tie other worlds together.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. And again, I'm just spitballing. As we all know, Lynch is not someone who explains his work.
No.
He just kind of throws it out there and lets you make up the details as you go along.
But then sometimes you get the feeling that he's also making it up. So
true. Maybe it is just all ad lib and we're all just along for this crazy ride.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I was talking about earlier, where like you start seeing how it's just it's a lot of the same stuff repeating itself. Like it's kind of like he's just lucid dreaming or something.
I think most of that is done just to set the mood.
Maybe.
He does go back to a lot of the same stuff to establish a mood, and he likes to use the same mood in most of his work. There are always plot similarities and stuff too, and there's offshoots here and there that I'm definitely going to touch on, as far as like some of his later film work being inspired by some of the work he did on Twin Peaks and with some of those actors.
Right. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have any other notes.
All right. Yeah. I'm done with my trivia, so I've just got a little look ahead.
Okay.
So we've got next episode. The mystery is going to deepen with the results of Laura's autopsy. Shelley finds out that Leo's into some shady shit. Ben Horn and Catherine Martell hatch a plot, and then things get weird as we visit the Red Room for the first time.
Oh, wow.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for joining us for our very first episode of Blank as a Fart. We do have some social media accounts set up. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Threads at Blank as a Fart. Luckily, we landed that one. Not on Twitter, though. Fuck Elon.
Cool.
And yeah, so hopefully we'll be doing new episodes every 2 weeks. We're going to try to stick to that schedule.
Cool.
If anything changes, we'll keep you posted.
Will do.
Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff.
Indeed.
I don't have a closing line yet. I'll work on that for the next episode. Ian, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, Gabe.
I really enjoyed this.
Awesome. Yeah, going to look forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
It'll be a fun journey.
I'm looking forward to it myself.
Man.
All right.
Take care, everybody. See, the music's playing.
I thought I was going to be able to hear the music when we started. I was wondering why you were just staring at me. I'm like, are you going to hit play at some point?